Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Kickstarter Projects with AZD Templates JavaScript Edition. I'm joined again with Julia, and we are going to be talking about Azure OpenAI Keyless deployment. This is going to be a really fun one, and Julia's got some great stuff to show you because we are moving to a keyless environment deployment sort of age where we're using these applications where you shouldn't have to put in API keys to talk to your services anymore. So, Julia, hello. What are we doing today?
Hey, Liam. Yeah, I think you've provided a very nice, intro or summary of what we intend to do. And I think at this point, everyone's, top of mind is security above all else, especially with AI, building AI systems. You definitely don't want to have any security issues at the moment. So a best practice that is being really recommended is moving away from API keys and more towards working with managed identities. So this sample or the template that we'll highlight today is basically just a simple implementation that shows you how you can provision an Azure OpenAI account using RBAC, that is role-based access control. And then basically you can just use managed identities for your solutions. This way you won't have to handle any API keys in your code or in your project. So that's basically the best practice that we are cutting across when you're looking at this particular template. So in terms of how this is being put together, you can see we have this simple implementation, and the idea here is that you'll basically just configure a Microsoft Entra ID that will use managed identity to provide access to the underlying services. So in this case, you're working with Azure AI Services and Azure OpenAI. So we won't define any API keys. So you won't have any API keys in your .env file, and you will see that after we do the deployment. And you'll basically also use the OpenAI API SDKs in your code just to quickly set this up. Again, if you've not done this before, you don't have to worry about how to go about it, because this template has everything already configured and set up for you. So you can basically just deploy it and then come in and add in your project. So with that, I'll actually just move straight to VS Code where we can have a look at it. But before that, you may be wondering, okay, this is the kind of similar, this is a kind of application that I'm looking for. I am looking to move away from API keys. I want to work more with managed identities. So how do I get started? How do I get my hands on this template? So Liam can just walk us through the steps and how you can basically just get this running on your PC and then just work from there.
Absolutely. I think this is probably one of my most favorite templates because it's so small and so simple and precise as to what you're doing. I think this is a really good learning base if you really want to understand keyless authentication and managed identities. I mean, I really struggled with this kind of switch over from API keys to keyless authentication. But this one, I remember going through this repository not too long ago, and it really helped me understand what I was doing. So as always, if you've seen any of the previous videos, which I hope you have, then you'll notice that we always go to the awesome AZD website. That is a repository, which is a preface to a GitHub repository in some regards, which has a lovely list of templates that we can use. Once you have found your template, you can use AZD init-t and then the name of the project itself. So this is just the one command. So if you're using the CLI, that is the command that you use. And then if we flip over to Visual Studio Code, because I'm hoping that you all have seen this already, if we flip over here, we can see that we have got it open in our directory. If you didn't want to use the CLI, there is also a Visual Studio Code extension. All of these names is such a whirlwind in my head. So you go to the extension, which you can see here. And if you were to open up the command palette in Visual Studio Code, you can use it. And it's essentially wrapping around the CLI. It's a driver for the CLI that lives underneath it. From here, we can use selected templates, and we can then search for the template that we want to use, because you're going to be given a long list of all the templates which you've just seen on the website. So if we were to search for it, there we go, Azure OpenAI Keyless deployment. And if you were to click on that, it would open it up and bring it into your current workspace. We're not going to click on it because Julia has already got it open for us. And you can see here on the right-hand side in the File Explorer pane that you can see all of the wonderful files that come with it. AZD uses infrastructure as code, which is in the infra folder, but this here is the README. And on the README, you can see the diagram or any information around deployment, which will then explain how you actually get started with this one. Just like most templates, AZD auth login, AZD up. That is as simple as it gets. Now, Julia, do we have anything else that we need to do for this template specifically?
Yes, so before we get to see how it actually works, so I had it already deployed just to save on time. This is a rather short one. So as you can see, it only took a minute to get everything deployed. It's not deploying a lot of things. We just have our resource group. We have the Azure OpenAI instance and the Azure AI service model deployment. So you'll get to see how you basically interact with these through the example that is provided. But as you can see, the steps involved to get this solution up and running is to basically just run an AZD app, select your subscription, select the location you want to deploy to, and then it's going to package, provision, and deploy everything for you. And in this case, in an impressive 1 minute and 25 seconds.
Nice. See, some of them are really quick. Some of them take a bit of time, but yeah, these quick ones are my favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so as you can see now, after deploying this particular template, so basically you should have your .env file that gets added into your project once the deployment is completed. And right now I can just easily open the .env file, and as you can see, you will not find any API key among the secrets that are, that normally just end up in the .env file. So you'll see that we are actually using we're using the keyless authentication approach. So if we were to open the code that is provided, so we have this example.js file. So you will see that we're actually using the OpenAI API SDK. So we're going to use the default Azure credential here for that seamless authentication. We're not using any API keys. And then instead of the API key, we'll basically just get a token. So we'll basically just get a token through this client that we're creating, and you can basically just start interacting with your solution. So in terms of this example that has been provided, so we just need to run a quick npm start. And as you can see, it's just as simple as providing the OpenAI service with a prompt. So you provide brief and straight to the point answers ending with emojis. And then the question here is write an haiku about a hungry cat. And we'll see that it responds right here on our console. So if you're looking to see how you can go about making such a similar implementation, in most cases, you'll be working with a full end-to-end solution, but you just want this one component that gets rid of all the API keys that you have to handle in your code. Remember, if the keys get exposed, that's a risk. If there's always just a lot of work that goes into rotating your API keys. So to avoid all that hassle, again, as a recommended security best practice, you can implement the keyless authentication using Microsoft Entra ID. So that's pretty much it about this template. It's super lightweight, so you can just come in, get it working, and then just see how all this has been implemented, pull this into your code or project, and then just start working from there.
Absolutely, that was a brilliant overview. Thank you very much for that one, Julia. And I noticed here in the code, you can also play around with the temperature as well. And the temperature is this sort of the randomness of the response as such, so whether it's more determined or less determined that you're going to get, right? I think I'm correct when I say that. So this is actually using AI, this one, which is brilliant. And yeah, a super simple template to play with, super simple to get your hands on. And yeah, it's good fun to play with.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's awesome it for this template. Liam, anything else?
No, I just want to apologize for my light in my room because the sun keeps coming out. This is the best bit about living in the UK. 1 minute is sunny, the next minute is not. So I apologize for the lighting on my camera. I'll sort that out in the next video. But for now, thank you ever so much. We will see you in the next video. Thank you very much, Julia. See you later, everyone.
Thanks, Liam. Bye.